Robin Nielsen with Insulite Health, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. So today is our Tuesday tip. So awesome, huh? So welcome to Tuesday tip. It's great to be here with you because this is where we get to come together to learn, right? And to learn from each other, to learn sort of some new ideas, to learn about different topics and how we can best support ourselves to heal from symptoms of PCOS and hormone imbalance. And I just love to hear where you're from. So please post that when you can. And please be sure to like this and share it, because when we share, we bring other women into our fold to help nourish them to better health. Because, you know, women are the ones who actually make 85% of the healthcare decisions in their family. And you know that by being in your family, right? You're the one who sort of pushes everyone towards better health, towards learning. And just the fact that you're here tells me that you're interested in learning more. And information is power, right? So just by showing up, you're already changing the way your genes express themselves. It's so cool. Great to be here. All right. So gosh, welcome Kristen from Temple, Pennsylvania, and welcome Erica from Long Island, New York. It's so great to have you here with us. So today's topic is PCOS and weight gain, why it's so important not to diet, okay? Not to diet. So I remember I was giving a talk to a women's group, and this woman came up to me afterwards and she said, you know, this has been such a powerful talk today. She said, I actually went to Weight Watchers, and she said, I was told that if I lost all my weight that I needed to lose, she said that I would feel better. She said, well, I lost all my weight. And she says, I don't feel any better. She says, in fact, I feel terrible. She said, I'm now a Weight Watchers coach because I'm so good at counting, right? I'm so good at supporting others. But she said, I still haven't gotten my health back. And so that was a real aha moment for me. You know, we have to get healthy to lose weight. We cannot lose weight to get healthy. Okay, and I'm going to post that up here because it's a super important topic. So let's see. Yeah. So you cannot lose weight to get healthy. You have to get healthy. You have to get healthy to lose weight. That makes sense? Awesome. Hi, Elizabeth. Nice to see you here from the UK. Awesome. And you had all the blood tests. Great. Awesome. Hopefully you can glean some great information from that and can help to move yourself in the direction that that you want. Great. Awesome. All right. So if you're just joining in, please share where you're from. I would love to see that. And you can post your questions, post your comments on what has helped you with weight loss. Would love to hear. I like to say weight release. So see how that feels for you. Because when we lose something, we have a tendency to want to find it again, right? Yeah, so we don't want to find weight if we don't need it, right? So weight release is a great thing to say. I want to release some weight. And that brings me to another point where, upwards of 95% of people who release weight or who lose weight gain it back, right? And sometimes even more. And this can go on and on for years. So you can diet, you can lose weight, and then you go back to eating a regular your regular food, right? A regular routine, and then you put it back on and sometimes even more. And that's really the main reason why you don't want to diet, because dieting means that you're dramatically changing the way you feed yourself for a short period of time, right? And it's not sustainable. Now, there are a few things that have been very, very helpful, and some women have found them super successful with PCOS, and I'll share with you what those are during this program. But for the most part, you want to stick to a diet that's really sustainable, and that's what we teach in our PCOS 5-element System program, right? We teach you how to just eat, to take care of yourself, eat to be healthy. And it's really yummy and delicious. And, there's no starvation. There's no diet of any kind. There's no calorie restriction. So I want to share just a little bit about, the traditional diet. But first, I want to say hello to Anna Wood. So great to have you here, but I don't know where you're from. So she says, so I get what you're saying, but can you reverse all the effects of PCOS once you get healthy? You can. So you can literally, so I am proof, right? I think that you have to always manage it. So PCOS, and this comes with any sort of chronic health condition. You want to dim the light on it, right? You want to dim the light on PCOS so that it's not such an issue for you, but it never completely goes away. So you always have the condition, but you just may not have any symptoms of the condition. So it looks like there's a little bit of a delayed response going on right now, but it should catch up shortly. So I hope that makes sense. So it's not like I can just go eat a bunch of Snickers bars now and go to McDonald's and let's see what else, eat a box of Cheetos and feel fine, right? That's not going to happen for me ever, because I'm just not wired that way. And I feel really blessed that I'm not, because I'm going to be so much healthier than someone who feels like they can tolerate those things. And then one day they, find out they have some horrible, chronic or life-threatening disease because they weren't paying attention, right? So all you have to do is pay attention, and then you're not only going to feel great, but you're going to age really well. And that's something sort of that I discovered, was that, I felt old in my 20s, and I hear that a lot from our community, right? I hear that from you, that, that you feel old. A gal just posted in our community that, she has rheumatoid arthritis. She, when she exercises, like if she goes snowboarding for a few hours, then she comes down sick the next day. It's kind of this routine that her body's in. And that's, that's feeling old way before your time. In fact, we should never really feel old, right? So, you might have these symptoms post-menopause. You might have them in your 20s, and just know that it doesn't have to be that way. You can dim the light on these, but you have to know how to take care of yourself. That's the key. Learn how to take care of you. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that around releasing weight today. So Kelly, hi from Pennsylvania. Awesome. Anna says, so face, body, hair. Okay, great. And you're from Oregon. Fantastic. And Kelly from Shelby, Shelby Crescent. I'm not sure. Maybe that's a person's name. All right, great. And let's see, who else? Oh, Carolyn tuned in from Queens, New York. Very cool. All right, awesome. Oh, so great to have you all here. So Kelly says, took 6 years for diagnosis for my daughter. Yeah. So that's one thing that I'd like to bring up is don't wait for a diagnosis. Who cares? I think that the reason that that I've been told that because I never have had a diagnosis. So I don't think that I ever would have been diagnosed because the diagnostic criteria is not me, right? Somebody who has gained weight, has horrible acne, digestive problems. So I had the crazy mood swings that are indicative of high androgens, right? But that's not necessarily a diagnostic criteria. Like they wouldn't say, oh yeah, you have PCOS. They'd say you need to go to a dermatologist, right? And your moods are just because you're a girl. So I never would have been diagnosed with PCOS. And so a PCOS diagnosis, I've been told, is really helpful because you stop blaming yourself for all of the problems that you're experiencing. And that's a good thing. And I don't want you to blame yourself regardless, right? It's not your fault that your body works the way it does. But it is up to you to figure out how to best take care of yourself, right? Because it's really easy to place blame out there oh, I have this condition, so that's why I'm heavy, or that's why I have acne, or that's why I have facial hair, or that's why I can't eat this, right? But it's better just to take charge and say, I have this condition and I'm figuring out how to take better care of myself, right? Because it can be tricky, you know. Like for some women, the least little stressor will set off. For instance, maybe you had a regular menstrual cycle, maybe you got it back, and then the least little stressor, you know, can all of a sudden put you into no menstrual cycle again, right? Amenorrhea, no menstrual cycle. And so some of us are much more sensitive than others to certain things, and that's where you come in, right? You have to figure this out for yourself. All right. So Jess said, thanks for being here, Jess. Jess has been a real rock star in our community. She said, I know that going gluten-free, dairy-free, and taking out red meat in my lifestyle change has helped me a lot, helped me out. Also, just saying goodbye to eating out and only eating fruit and veggies made me feel better and have energy. Yeah. And keep in mind, red meat, like for me, a blood type O, is really, really healthy. In fact, I got to have it. Not every day, certainly, but I have to have it maybe once or twice a week. But I always get red meat that's from 100% grass-fed animals, right? Because I know that that's an anti-inflammatory food versus an inflammatory food. We're going to talk a little bit about that, because that's how you're going to be able to release weight. And that's really sort of the premise under you have to get healthy to lose weight. So when my clients come to me and weight loss is their number one goal, I always say, okay, that's fine. But what we're going to do is we're going to get you healthy, and then your body's naturally going to start releasing the extra weight. Because interestingly enough, when we gain weight, it's a malnourished state. So I don't know if you remember, but if you think back years ago, we used to see pictures of malnourished children, right? And they had the bloated stomach and they were super thin. So this emaciated look was, we could tell it was a really malnourished state. You could look at the child or look at the person and say, oh my gosh, they're starving, right? Well, obesity is that state now. So obesity is a starving state. Your body is starving for nutrients. It's kind of crazy, right? Let me put that on the screen. So obesity now, starving for nutrients. So it's kind of the new malnourished state, okay? Where your body's just starving for nutrients. So once you start to flood your body with really good raw materials, really good nutrients that come in the form of vitamins and minerals and good healthy proteins, good healthy fats, right? Good healthy carbohydrates. Now, all of a sudden, you're giving your body the raw materials that it needs to function properly. Okay, so I'm going to show you how this obesity thing happens. So let's see, Amy, should women with PCOS eat carbs? Yes, so that's a great question, but I'll tell you what that looks like. And then Kristen says, I was told I have this since 15, now I'm 36. Oh, you have a child. My doctor and I've tried everything. No weight loss. I also suffer from borderline personality disorder, severe anxiety, and depression, which I was told these all go hand in hand. So you're just right, Kristen. They definitely can. So when you get your diet in order for you, your diet and your life in order, because your lifestyle habits have a huge impact on your weight, then the weight will start to come off. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what some of those things are. And yeah, great. Thank you so much for posting those comments and questions. That really helps. And Jonna, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, from Oklahoma. Welcome. She said, I was diagnosed at 15 and yo-yoed ever since. It's horrible. I totally agree. And I totally understand. So you're just, Johnny, you're just super sensitive to different things that happen in your life, to different foods. So we're going to try to hone in on that a little bit. Keep in mind, this is everything that I teach in the PCOS 5-element system. So if you really want to dig in, have some personal assistance, get those raw materials back in a quick way, then please join our program. It's the way that I help you on a much more personal basis. So I do want to share with you just a couple of administrative things, because I kind of get on a roll and then forget those. So I just want to let you know that we are having a Valentine's Day sale. It's the You Are Lovely Valentine's Day sale. And it's 3 months of our PCOS 5-element system for the price of 2. So it is a huge savings. And it will get you in our program for 3 months, and then you can keep it going from there if you are loving it, like most women do. And then I just wanted to let you know that once you're part of our community, once you purchase the program, we're going to do a 30-day weight loss challenge the whole month of March. So I think that you'll have some profound results. I'm just going to give you one thing to focus on every day, and then you can post how things are working for you, what questions you have, what you notice, and we're going to make sure that you're on a really good roll to weight loss, right, in the month of March. Because there's, if you're like me, you just want to get it done, right? It gets so old fighting the weight. I remember I was driving home from work one day, and I grabbed the roll over my pants and I just said, that's it. Like, I am so tired of complaining about my weight. And I kind of think that's where you have to get to, just that you've had it, right? And that's where I was. So I didn't have all the knowledge that I had now, but I had a plan. And, I had arthritic symptoms in my hands. Like I say, I had those really nasty mood swings. I was irritable a lot of the time. I didn't have any patience, and those are high androgen levels. So I had some things that were really plaguing me, along with the weight and the acne. So I deployed my strategy, but I had to do Nutrisystem, and if you join me from my email today, you'll know that I actually I did the no eating diet, right? Which is just where you don't eat anything all day. I did the cabbage soup diet, where I had horrible gas and felt absolutely terrible and couldn't sustain it. Of course, who can sustain eating cabbage soup all day, every day? And really, my mode of weight loss was what my dad had taught me, which was to over-exercise and under-eat, right? He'd say, come on, Robin, let's go for a run. And I would always get cramps in my side. I had sort of asthma, lung breathing issues as a kid. So it was hard for me to do that. And, but I felt I had to, because my weight would get out of control otherwise. Of course, I was completely wrong, but I didn't know. So I remember one day when I went off to, I was in college, and I thought, I'm just going to eat one bagel today. That's it, because I got to manage my weight. And I ate a bagel and I felt worse than ever, right? My pants fit tighter than ever. I felt so inflamed. And so what you eat matters. Like that, what you eat is really the only information that you're giving your genes and your body to function or not, right? To build in a really anti-inflammatory way, or to be inflamed and sick. Right. So that's what I had to learn, is how to eat for me. And that was a really long journey, because not only did I have to experiment before I knew anything, but then, when I went back to school and started studying and, reading case studies and figuring things out, it was my own journey. We have to figure out what works for us. And it's hard because, even these past holidays, my brother comes to visit, and he brings like crazy amounts of sugar, and he loves to drink, and he loves his coffee, and he's on this roller coaster. I learned recently that he's pre-diabetic, and he's doing a lot to fix that, but it's hard when you have certain goals in your life, because caffeine is a real stimulant, right? So it's going to stimulate insulin and cortisol. So it could be a hormone deal breaker, and it could cause weight gain. So those are things that, you have to weigh out. So even to this day, I'm still having to kind of push back against certain family members, and definitely friends. I just do my own thing, and they can come along or not. But, it's not just knowing what to eat, but it's also navigating the waters with other people, right? And not feeling the pressure to succumb to their pressure. I mean, some of the posts in our community are crazy, like I was at the office today, and there was a box of donuts, and, people were saying, "What's wrong with you? Why can't you eat these donuts?" And, then the woman said, "Well, because I have PCOS and it will really hurt me." And, she felt really self-conscious and just had low self-esteem around it, and just didn't feel whole. And I said, "Oh my gosh," I said, "You're the rock star, right? You're the one who's taking care of herself, while the rest of the office is going to feel terrible in a couple of hours, or maybe in an hour, right? They're going to need coffee to get going again, because they just ate a bunch of sugar." So instead of, sort of hanging our head and feeling bad about things, we need to say, "I am woman. I am powerful. I am confident. I eat to nourish my body," right? And not be in a place of weakness, but be in a place of strength. Really important. All right. So I just want to read a few comments. So Amy says, "Hello from Burlington, Vermont." Oh, and you're so welcome. I'm just honored to be here. Let's see. So, yeah, depression does go hand in hand with PCOS for sure. And there are many ways that can happen. And this is not a call to go into, we're not going to talk about moods tonight, but just know that, oh my gosh, hormones affect brain chemistry in a really big way. So if your hormones are out of whack, you're definitely, your brain chemistry is going to be out of whack as well. And it can come from a lot of different areas. Like, you make most of your serotonin in your gut, and that's your, feel happy brain chemical. And so if you have any sort of digestive problems, which most of us with PCOS do, then chances are that you're not making enough tryptophan or serotonin, and or it's not getting across the blood-brain barrier, right? And there are a lot of reasons why that can happen, like high levels of estrogen can suppress serotonin. So yeah. Amy says, "I'm 52. Will PCOS ever go away?" Yes, absolutely it will. We're going to dim the light on all of your symptoms, Amy, just like I did, right? You can definitely do it. And Heather says, "I have PCOS. I'm in Connecticut. Need to lose, as my reproductive endo says I need to lose weight to have a better chance at pregnancy." Okay, great. Is there a good way to eat, as it's so hard to lose weight? Thoughts on protein shakes? Yeah, great. Okay, thank you, Heather. And so keep in mind that is a standard response from the medical community, is that you have to lose weight, right? But again, you have to get healthy first. So sometimes when we're getting healthy, we might gain a little weight because our adrenals are healing. And then we can start to release the weight. And I think the bottom line is you have to forget about the weight. You have to just work on getting healthy. And then because you want to be healthy to get pregnant, right? So that you can make a very healthy baby, and that you can be healthy during pregnancy. And then you can be healthy after pregnancy, right? There's this whole sort of cascade of events that needs to happen for you to stay healthy and for your baby to be healthy. So don't lose sight of that. Really, really important. And there's a great book called The Better Baby Book that is, that's pretty profound. The Better Baby book by a colleague of mine, Dr. Dave Asprey, and Dave Asprey and Dr. Lana Asprey, his wife. She had PCOS, right? But it's doing all the things that we do in the PCOS 5-element system. So you're in the right place, Heather. Yay. All right. Jess says D3 deficiency part of PCOS. My blood work showed it wasn't even on the chart. Oh dear, Jess. Okay, so could you please post that in our VIP community, and we're gonna get this taken care of. And Erica says no coffee. Oh yeah. Well, I can show you how to do coffee, but again, it really changes hormones. So we'll talk about this. Kristen, yeah, so you don't actually have to take a prescription for D3, but you do want to make sure that you take vitamin K. With D3, you always take D3 with K, because otherwise calcium gets deposited in your blood vessels and not your bones. So be careful how you take D3. That's really important. Amy says, I was told last week at my work that my coworkers think I'm a freak because I won't eat the donuts and sugar. You are a freak, Amy. You ought to make yourself a t-shirt that says, I'm a freak, I eat healthy. Or I'm a freak, I'm a rock star because I'm healthy, or something fun like that. Yeah, I mean, isn't that crazy that if you take care of yourself, you're considered a freak? They're just jealous, and that's the way they show it, right? I had one client who was, she was diagnosed pre-diabetic, and she was freaking out because her sister actually had died of diabetes, and she didn't want that for herself, and she was really, really motivated. So she told me that when someone brought donuts or cake or pastries or whatever into the office, she would just lift them up and take a good smell. And then she put them back down and say, okay, that was good. And people would look at her like, are you crazy? Why don't you just have some? And she'd say, no, because it'll raise my blood sugar and make me sick. What don't you people understand? And it's funny because the exact same thing is happening to them, and they just don't know it, right? Or they know it, but they don't want to acknowledge it and do anything about it. So, way to go, Amy. All right. So, Kelly, Robin, where do you practice? I actually practice over the internet. So, I have clients all over the world. And let's see. Oh, the book. The book is the Better Baby book. The Better Baby book. Really amazing. And that's right, Kelly, they have no willpower. You do. And, willpower is a finite resource. And so I'm going to get into that just a little bit with the weight loss thing. You have to keep restoring willpower, right? Otherwise, it's hard. So I'll show you how to do that. Oh, yeah. Let me post the name of the book. Absolutely. See if I can do that. So it's the Better Baby book. The Better Baby book. Thanks, Heather. All right, the Better Baby book. And Heather posted it for us in the comment section. All right, it's a great book. It's a little technical, so it gets into genes and all sorts of things because that's how Dave is. That's what he knows. That's his background. But just know that the PCOS 5-element system is very, very similar. It can help you very much the same. It gives a lot of great information. And like I said before, Lana has PCOS, and she was in her 40s, I think, when they were trying to conceive. And so they had to completely change everything. She had to heal her body, and then she was able to get pregnant. They were able to create some pretty fabulous, healthy babies. And that's something that's really, really, really important. We have this goal of getting pregnant and starting a family, and we're willing to not be healthy to do it. And so you run into the risk of having a baby that's not healthy. You run into the risk of gestational diabetes for yourself. You run into the risk of, having hypothyroidism if you don't already, and your health just getting a lot worse, right? Which makes it harder for you to take care of a child and harder for you to make a baby that's really healthy, right? And gosh, there's nothing more important than creating a healthy baby. It's a miracle, right? You just want to get your body in the best place to do that and take really good care of yourself. Yeah, great. Awesome. Anna, absolutely. You can just send me an email. Let me give you my email. I'm very available. So my email is robin@insulitehealth.com. Okay. So robin@insulitehealth.com. There you go. All right. So let's just dig in a little bit deeper to this weight loss thing, because that's so important for so many of us. And it was definitely a huge challenge for me. And what happened is that I was so stressed for so many years that when I finally figured out like what to eat for myself, I kind of went too low carb. So I got too thin. And then I completely burned out my adrenals. So I had very low insulin. I had very low blood sugar. I had very low blood pressure. And I was very tired. So you can go from one extreme to the other, right? Now I'm a good weight, but I have to constantly pay attention. I play competitive tennis, and that adds a lot of stress to my body. So, for instance, today I made some mineral broth with a ton of vegetables. I actually made it last night. A ton of vegetables and a chicken carcass, right? A free-range chicken carcass that I bought at my farmer's market. And so I've got this bone mineral broth. So I'm constantly flooding my body with nutrients. So to say that it's easy to take care of ourselves is crazy, right? It's a job. So you actually have to eat right, and you have to make time to eat. I'm going to tell you what that looks like on this program. You have to make time to take care of yourself. If you're always on the run, like I was, you're just going to feel sick all the time. Oh my gosh, I struggled for so many years. I wish that someone had just shortened my learning curve. I would give anything for that today. I give anything to go back and just say, okay, what can I do to feel better right now? But I realized that I probably wouldn't be here to support you if I had done that. So I'm grateful to be able to do this. All right, so let's talk about PCOS and weight gain. So it's really important not to diet, because you want to create a lifestyle for yourself that's sustainable. Okay, it has to be sustainable. So what that means, and some of us are going to have the Pocahontas genes, right? I'm not one of those people, but the Pocahontas genes are what Dr. Anna Beckett talks about, and that's where, you can go a long time without eating, right? You can cross the Sahara and be able to survive on water for a few days. She definitely has they're not, I don't know if I call them Pocahontas genes, but that's what she calls them. And I kind of like that analogy. So, you look at a carb and you gain weight, that's one set of women, right? And then the other set of women, may have low thyroid function. You may have poor adrenal function, or what's called the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis communication system is defunct somehow. And it could be from, the fact that you're not eating right for yourself, and maybe you're not taking care of yourself in the right way. So there are a lot of reasons that you could be packing on the weight, that there's inflammation going on. And we're going to try to figure out what that might be for you. So the key to all of this is to balance cortisol and insulin, or blood sugar. So here's the key. And what's interesting is that cortisol exists, really. Its main purpose is to manage your blood sugar. Okay, so cortisol is our daytime hormone. It's our fight or flight hormone. It's our stress hormone. You may have heard me talk about it before, right? So cortisol actually starts kind of high when you wake up in the morning. It should be the highest at, sort of the highest point in the day, or it starts out here when you get up, and then it kind of comes up in the morning. And then it goes down throughout the day until it's at its lowest point at night when melatonin comes up, right? And you have to have really healthy melatonin levels to lose weight. for everything to work properly, for your thyroid to be healthy, for your adrenals to be healthy. You need just a healthy balance of all your hormones. And the best way to get that is to really address those, what I call the hormone deal breakers that I talked about last week. So just take a listen to that video. So the hormone deal breakers from last week, because those are the things that keep your body constantly stressed, okay? But the main things that you want to pay attention to is food. So what food are you putting in? What food, what fuel, right? Food, sleep, stressors, okay? So you want to manage food, you want to manage sleep, and you want to manage stressors in a really hormonally balanced way, because when you do that, you start to feel better. Your inflammation drops. The weight starts to come off, right? Your PCOS symptoms start to go away. If you manage what you put in, if you get enough sleep, restorative sleep without drugs and medication, right? So you actually fall asleep when your head hits the pillow. Within about 15 minutes, you sleep through the night. You get enough restorative sleep over time, you're going to really reduce inflammation. So you're going to reduce cortisol and you're going to reduce insulin in a really big way, because high cortisol causes high insulin. And what happens with that is that insulin drives inflammation, right? So when you have chronically high insulin, you're going to have chronically high inflammation, which causes a lot of the symptoms of PCOS. You don't necessarily have to have high insulin, though. So when I was adrenally burned out, I had low insulin, right? So that was an adrenal PCOS issue. Sometimes it's not really even considered PCOS. But these days it's kind of thrown into that PCOS bucket. So it could be that your little adrenal glands, so these little glands that sit on your kidneys, around back, and they're small. You can look them up, and they're actually powerhouses, right? They produce, I think, over 52 hormones. They're responsible for so many things. But the main thing is your energy levels and regulating blood sugar. So I was trained actually by an endocrinologist, and what I learned was that when cortisol, our fight or flight hormone, comes up, so does insulin. So we want to keep those down as much as possible, and the way you do that is how you eat, okay? So that's really, really important. So let's see. So you want to use the right food combination and the right timing. So we're going to start with food. The right foods and the right timing. So here's what's interesting, is that in order to lose weight, you have to get really good sleep, right? And you have to eat right, and you have to reduce and manage your stresses. In order to sleep well, you have to eat well. So you want to eat your way to better sleep, which is cool because it's motivating. Does that make sense? So you want to eat your way to better sleep, okay? All right, so how you do this is you actually want to eat healthy proteins, healthy fats, and healthy carbohydrates at every meal. And to start, you want to eat 3 meals a day. So really the best way to get started on weight loss is just to get healthy. And the way that you do that is by eating 3 meals a day. And you start within an hour of waking, okay? So within an hour of waking, you eat your first, you eat breakfast, you eat your first meal, and you make sure that it's a little bit higher in protein, and that you have, and your proteins come from really healthy sources, right? Wild caught, not farm-raised fish, grass-fed meats. You can combine legumes with a little bit of grain if you're a vegetarian. Like, go easy because that's a lot of carbs. Lots of vegetables. I would go really easy on the fruits. They contain fructose and can really mess with your weight loss. So you could stick to 1 piece of fruit a day. 1 cup of berries is good. It's lower sugar, lower fructose. And that's your breakfast. And then go 5 hours between meals and then eat again. So a lot of times we think that we have to snack between meals, but if you snack between meals, what you're doing is you're raising cortisol and you're raising insulin again, right? And so you're constantly going to be what's called a sugar burner. And you want to actually transition from a sugar burner to a fat burner, because that's how you're going to release weight in a really healthy way, right? You're not going to lose water weight. You're going to actually use fat for fuel. Pretty cool, right? So you want to eat your breakfast within an hour of waking, and then every 5 hours you want to eat again. And then you want to stop eating at the latest by 7 at night, because you want at least 3 hours before bed with no food, with no eating. Because nighttime is actually when your body restores, right? That's when everything heals. That's when your growth hormone gets elevated, which helps you to build lean muscle, right? Which helps you to burn more fat for fuel. It's so cool, right? And so that's why counting calories is a crazy model. So let's just talk about that for a minute. So, as many dieters know, right, cutting calories comes at a cost. So in the short term, the reduction in energy intake, it provokes hunger, right? Irritability, fatigue, and muscle loss. So longer term calorie restriction causes your metabolism to stagnate. This is the downfall of all calorie restrictive diets, and it paves the way for the weight to come piling back on. And it's the reason that 99% of dieters are doomed to fail in the long run. So, we've all been trained to count calories, count points, stop counting. Because fats actually have more calories than proteins or carbohydrates, but you can eat a lot of fats and be really healthy as long as they come in the form of really healthy fats, right? So things like extra virgin organic olive oil, coconut oil, avocado, nuts and seeds, right? Even the yolk of an egg has amazingly healthy fats. Butter, I don't tolerate butter so well. You want grass-fed butter, right? Like Kerrygold. But I tolerate ghee just fine, right? And ghee really seems to nourish me. It's spelled, just in case you don't know what ghee is, it's clarified butter, okay? It's clarified butter. And so you can eat a lot of healthy fats and get healthy. In fact, there's a diet called the keto diet that is very helpful for a lot of women with PCOS. For me, it's a little tricky, actually, because I tend to get more inflamed eating a lot higher doses of fats. But there's some women that do really well on a keto diet, and that's just a way higher fat diet and a much lower carb diet. So about 20 to 50 grams of carb a day. You just want to get into ketosis. And again, that's a diet, right? So it's something that you can do short term in short intervals for a couple weeks at a time, and then cycle in and out of it if you want. You'll sort of figure out what works best for you. But like I say, just getting to a really whole, real food diet is fantastic, right? So go back to eating what your grandparents or your great-grandparents ate before World War II, right? So that would be before like maybe 1940s. Because I remember my grandmother actually when my dad was being raised. So, gosh, maybe it was even earlier than, no, that was about right. So in the 40s, they were buying margarine because we were told that margarine was a lot healthier. So, they would buy the white margarine, which was just really toxic vegetable oils. And then they would have to squirt the yellow food coloring into it to make it look like butter, right? And somehow we were told that was better. Somehow this woman, Betty Crocker, I don't know if you remember her, but Betty Crocker came into our lives and just pushed all of this processed food at us. And we thought that was going to be good for us somehow. And I remember I was so excited when my grandmother passed away. She was just such a kindred spirit for me. I just love my grandmother. And my mom gave me her recipe box, and I was so excited to get it because she was a good cook and she made some really good things. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can see, what my grandmother ate, right? But unfortunately, it was what my grandmother ate later, when she was raising her kids. And it was a bunch of recipes from the cream of mushroom soup cans and from the Jell-O recipes. And I was so disappointed. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a bunch of processed foods that, Betty Crocker told us to eat. So, as a result, we've kind of grown up with that, and we didn't know that that wasn't okay. So what you want to do is get back to eating whole, real food. So go to your farmers markets, right? Find a local farmers market, or go to your market and just shop the aisles, right? Shop the produce section, shop the meat section. Even the frozen foods, right? Because in the winter, it's hard to get certain foods. But frozen organic vegetables are oftentimes better than fresh produce if it's been shipped from far away and picked too early, right? It doesn't have a lot of nutrients. So remember, our goal is to replace missing nutrients, right? We want to flood our bodies with raw materials, right? So what are the raw materials? Can anyone remember? Post it here if you can remember what I said. What are the raw materials? I'll have a prize for you if you can remember. Come on, ladies. I'm going to start typing, but you can beat me to it. There are five raw materials. Okay, come on, you can do it. Okay, here we go. So vitamins, minerals, healthy proteins, healthy fats, and healthy carbohydrates. Okay, so we went over what healthy proteins are. We went over what healthy fats are. Carbohydrates, healthy carbohydrates are vegetables, right? For the most part, vegetables. You can do some legumes or beans to see how they work for you. Just do small amounts because they're pretty high in carbohydrate. Really small amounts of grains, right? So if you do brown rice or quinoa or something like that, just do a small amount. And you actually can just do root vegetables for your carbohydrates. That's mostly what I do, just root vegetables. I go pretty low carb most of the time. That seems to suit me the best. If I do a tennis match, I might add a little bit more carb in. So it really comes down to how you feel, how you're sleeping at night. That's kind of how you adjust, right? So Anna says, the way clarified butter is processed ends up getting rid of the lactose, and milk caseins make it easier on your body. Yes. So they actually take the whey right off the top. Yeah. So clarified butter is ghee. Okay. Clarified butter is ghee. But actually, butter itself shouldn't have any lactose in it. So butter itself is just fat, but sometimes I think it's the, am I having trouble with this? I'll post about what they're removing in when they make ghee. So you can make your own ghee with butter. It's basically you just take off the top layer, you heat it, and then take off the top layer. And that's really removing all of the, the rest of the stuff that could cause you problems potentially. And milk caseins. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. All right. Great. So let's see. So again, using the right food combination and the right timing to do this is really important. So proteins are what build your body up, right? Proteins actually build your brain chemistry, build your muscles. Protein helps your liver to function, so it helps you to detoxify, which is really important for all of us with PCOS. And let's see, what else does protein do? So protein is what builds our bodies up, right? And then fats actually help with hormones. So fats are what make hormones. They help our cells communicate with each other. Our brain is more than 70% fat. So of course it feeds our brain. And eating good, healthy fats does not make us fat, right? Doesn't make us fat. So it's really important to get those good, healthy fats in there because they are so satiating, right? So satiating. So fats help to not only lower insulin and blood sugar, but fats also tell us that we're full, right? So that's why my bone/vegetable broth is so amazing, because it's so satiating, right? Sleep restores willpower. So if you get really good sleep, you have much better willpower the next day. So these are some little quick tricks that you can use. Again, fat is so satiating. Carbohydrates are for energy, right? So carbohydrates are for energy. They're a quick energy source. And so I always say if you eat a lot of carbs, you have to go exercise a lot, right, to burn them off. Otherwise, you're going to store them as fat, and it's just going to make you fat. So sugar makes you fat. Fat does not make you fat. Does that make sense? Okay. But it has to be good, healthy fat. So if you're eating sunflower, safflower, corn oil, hydrogenated fats that come in all the prepackaged stuff, then you're going to be sick and you're going to be inflamed, right? You're not going to lose weight. So really important. Fiber is something that I haven't talked about yet. And fiber is super, super important for weight loss. Okay. Fiber is super, super important for weight loss. Just going to post that right there. Oh, wait, there's a little bit of a delay again. All right, so with fiber helps with weight loss because it helps with satiety. It helps you to feel fuller, right? It helps to bind to toxins and remove them. It helps to create bulk so that you have better digestion. Fiber also helps to clean the digestive tract. I'm talking slowly because the video is going a little slow. All right. And fiber also helps to feed the friendly bacteria in our gut. So it helps to keep a happy microbiome, which is really important for losing weight. So you have to have really hearty, good, healthy, strong digestion for weight loss. Okay. Apple cider vinegar tends to be a really good tool that you can use to do two things. One, increase stomach acid, which is really important to healthy digestion. And two, it can really help with insulin resistance, or it can help with insulin sensitivity. So apple cider vinegar is kind of a cool, easy to use tool for really supporting good, healthy digestion, for releasing weight, right? All right, so I've given you a ton of information on this call. I hope that I haven't overwhelmed you with it, but really using the right food combinations and the right timing are super important. Sleep is really key to weight loss. Keto and intermittent fasting are some tools that you can use once in a while. If you would like to try them. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Again, they're more of a diet. I'd rather see you just eat healthy, see where that takes you, and then you can add in these small little changes if you feel you still have a ways to go with your weight. Let's see, you want to make sure that you diversify your diet. So it's really important. You know, we get used to eating just a few foods. And so we're only getting the nutrients from those foods, but you want to make sure that you diversify your diet. And vegetables, getting enough vegetables are really key. So if you can eat like 2.5 cups of vegetables at every meal, you're getting a ton of vitamins, a ton of minerals. You're getting some great fiber and just great pH balance, right? You're shifting your pH balance from acidic or inflammatory to more alkaline. And somebody mentioned shakes earlier. Hi, Josh. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Joce, Josh Muir. Hello, everyone. She says, great to see you here. So Jess says, so is eating an apple and a cup of peanuts for breakfast because I cannot have eggs. So that's not a great breakfast. No. So how can we change that around? So what you can do is, so shakes are my favorite because they're really easy. So it's a really easy way to get my proteins, fats, and carbs in. And, I was never much of a breakfast person. So for most of my life, I skipped breakfast entirely, and that just wrecked my hormones even more. So the way I got around, and I skipped breakfast mostly because I wasn't hungry and I didn't know what to eat. So I just skipped it. And then when I did eat around 11 o'clock or so, then I would have a mocha, right? When the mochas first came out. So a coffee, right, with lots of sugar and whipped cream. And then I would have a pastry. So what I do is I get up in the morning, get the kids off to school. I go exercise, go to jazzercise. And then I have a mocha and a pastry. And of course, it made me so much worse, right? Oh my gosh, having sugar, for breakfast and then eating so late. It was a disaster, just a disaster. So don't do that. The way I get around it is I really like shakes for breakfast. So we have a couple of amazing protein shakes. I'll get you the URL here in just a second. And the protein shakes are fantastic. So in fact, you can not only use them for breakfast, but you can use them as a meal replacement anytime. So let's say, so I like them if you're busy because it's the one food that you can eat on the go is a shake, as long as your shake is balanced, right? Because it digests pretty quickly. In fact, you know what? I'm not going to put this there. I'm going to put it in the comments section because then you can just click on the link if you want. So these are our PCOS-friendly protein powders. They're fantastic. And then when you purchase one of them, I'll give you, 12 different shake recipes. Well, there might be 24. I don't know. There are a lot of different shake recipes. But the bottom line is what I do with those is I start with water and then I add some just a little bit of coconut milk to that. And then I add a bunch of vegetables. Like parsley is amazing for supporting weight loss, like greens of all kinds. And then at the local farmer's market, I get these fantastic sprouts and I put a handful of those in. I'll put mint. I'll put a little piece of ginger to give it that amazing ginger flavor. I'll put a cup of berries or maybe half a cup of berries for me. And then my protein powder, some flaxseed for good fiber. Chia seeds are great fiber. Our PCOS nutrient system has Glucex, some great fiber in it as well. And what else do I put in there? I'll put a handful of greens. Sometimes I'll put a piece of beet, raw beet. It's great for helping you produce nitric oxide. It's just opens up your blood vessels and helps to give you amazing energy. So I think shakes are really powerful. I think the important thing is not to make them too cold. So you want them more room temperature, right? Lindsay is our food advocate in our program. And when she makes her shakes, she actually makes them pretty thick. And then she puts some toppings on them like cacao nibs and some other things. And then she actually eats hers with a spoon. So there are many different ways that you can do shakes, but I think they're a really powerful breakfast. And Jess, they might support you really, really well. So you can do a vegan protein powder. You can do the Power Paleo, which is my favorite because, I'm the beef girl. It's the Power Paleo is more like a whey protein powder, but it's, it's not dairy, right? So it's really good for you. Good for those of us with PCOS. So Myra says, are sweet potatoes good for PCOS? Yes, they are. They're really good. And you just want a small piece, right? You just need a small piece. That's it. You don't need a lot, but just a small piece. And that's a great carb. Great carb. Let's see. So Anna says, do you have the same caveats with tea, chai, and other sources of caffeine? So That's a great question. I think that a homemade chai, without sugar, you can use a little bit of stevia. My new favorite sweetener is Lakanto. I really like that, and I'll put it on here. But I don't like to use too many sweeteners, actually, because sweet makes you want more sweet. And when you eat something sweet, your body still has this insulin response. So just be careful with too much sweet. I was actually using too much stevia. At one point, I was making this muddled fresh ginger lemon with fresh squeezed lemon juice tea, and I was using too much stevia. And it was really messing with my gut. It's actually a steroid type plant. So be careful, just go lightly on sweet. That's all I have to say about that. I think that your own chai is great. There's one called, I want to say, Blue Lotus, that makes a fantastic chai that I think is fabulous. Again, you can make your own. They also make one that's not caffeinated. Green tea is amazing for turning on the fat burning genes, right? So I think green tea is fantastic. Have a coffee as a treat, right? So maybe once a week, have a special coffee drink, but I wouldn't have coffee every single day until your symptoms have really completely gone away. And then you can play around a little bit, right? Then you can see. But just because coffee raises cortisol, and it's a diuretic, it's going to purge a lot of minerals. That's what concerns me about coffee. Okay. It's a great question. So Josh or Jose says, I know we should limit bread intake, but if you must, I'd like to know if wheat is better or if white bread is better. So no wheat. Like, I think that that wheat is way too much sugar. It wrecks your gut. It's not a great food source. It's certainly terrible for weight loss, and wheat tends to be like my kryptonite. So go to Dr. William Davis's website. I've talked about this quite a bit, but he wrote the book Wheat Belly. But you can just go to his website, just type in Dr. William Davis, and you can read how wheat is an opioid. It actually, when I eat bread, it makes me so hungry. So it increases my appetite. I can't get enough. Like, if you brought me the bread basket to the table, I would eat the whole thing, and then I'd ask for another one. Like, I just am never satiated, and it makes me hungrier, and then it makes me really tired. And that can last a week. And then it messes with my digestion. It may not do this for you, but it still turns into sugar way too quickly. It's going to raise cortisol and insulin. Terrible for weight loss. There's a bakery that I just love, and you can find it in some markets, but you can also just call them and order. And they're called Grindstone Bakery. They're amazing, and they make gluten-free breads that are absolutely fantastic from sprouted grains. Again, sometimes I will buy that and I'll just eat a really small amount of it, because for some reason grains just don't work well for me. Like, I'll just find that I'm a little bit more tired, or I have brain fog. So I make sure my stomach acid is really strong. I make sure I take digestive enzymes. So our Insulite nutrient system has digestive enzymes in it. So it will help you break down those proteins, because it's the proteins in foods that usually cause us the allergic responses or the sensitivity responses. So yeah, so there's some great tips. So, oh, good, Anna. I'm so glad that helps. Awesome. So what else? Any other questions? Yeah, so definitely all the proteins in butter, for the most part, are gone because it's mostly strictly fat. And then ghee, for sure, all the proteins are gone. Yeah, so just one has some of the contaminants removed, right? The clarified butter removes any extra contaminants. All right, so I think that I've covered all of your questions. It's been wonderful to be with you here today. I hope that you can get in on our sale. I think that, I know I would absolutely love to have you in our community. I would love to just nourish you inside and out and help you reach your health goals. Of course, you can always work with me one-on-one. It's just just different. But just so glad you're here. And again, it's just been wonderful to be here with you. I posted the link to our sale, and I hope you can take advantage of it. And I will see you here next week. All right. Goodbye, everyone.